we'll spend the rest of the time getting the lab 4, just giving an overview of what you are working on, and then give you the time to work on it yourself. Right. So once you get lab 4, you can load it to your RStudio. But I want to give you an overview of what lab 4 is doing. And it could be a relatively longer lab than before because it involves a lot of JAG stuff that you might not be familiar with. So that's why I wanted to spend time. Talk about it, what the content and the expectation. And I also hope that everybody managed to download and install JAX in the first place, okay? Because this lab requires using JAX for the exercise. So if you have questions about that, you should let me know, and then we can take a look at your installation and everything. So hopefully this will be quick enough to set it up. Just bear with me. All right, so lab 4, as you can see, is trying to do hierarchical models for K-drama rating. And so it follows very closely to what we do right now in the lecture. And by the way, to do the lab, you not only need to download the markdown for the lab itself, but also in the same chunk of Moodle, you should download the data set because we need the K-drama data set, the SV file as well. So you should download that. And so there are a lot of detailed information. So first of all, the first chunk, as we know, is about the template and all that. I prepared an overview of the model itself. So if you knit it before you start working on anything, you can also look at the full model and stuff like that. And the lab is to explore different prior specifications that can prevent this from happening. When we said this happening, that was the negative μj's that we're seeing in the output that we have seen before, which is problematic, okay? Because we know that ratings should not be negative, so mean ratings shouldn't be negative as well. So like I said, in this lab, we introduced 2 different remedies, okay? The first one is trying to use the truncated normal prior for the μj's. So you can see that in the latex, in the markdown file, I give you sample code of how to work out a truncated normal. Okay, so you can see in the highlighted code over here, in the past, we just do μj and each of the j, right? Tell that d norm, whatever mu and inverse tau 2. Okay, that's when you just have a regular normal distribution. But if you want to do a truncated normal, and specifically we want to truncate it to only the positive side of the density, you can do this T, capital T stands for truncation, okay? And then in the parentheses, you talk about from where to where you want to do the truncation. And so that's the main change that you need to do when you're working with the part 1 for the truncated normal. The other part, or the other option of doing as a remedy to make sure that you don't get negative mu's, is to use what we call a log normal distribution for the mu and the μj's themselves. Okay, so we introduce what the log normal distribution is, and also give you sample syntax. So instead of d norm, you do dl norm, because L norm stands for log normal. Okay, so that will be the JEC syntax that you need to change. And then, of course, the rest of the exercises are really just for you to go back and forth of making sure that you can make the JEX code correct. So this requires you, I would say, go to R, also go to Moodle as well. So you probably notice that every time we post the lecture slides, we also post the relevant R code as well for all of the things we use in class. So for this lab, I think you should also download this Spring 22 347 hierarchical R markdown file, because that includes all of the JavaScript and all of the other code that we included in the lecture. So you should borrow some of them that you can use for your lab 4 as you go along. Okay, so that's the starting point. And I also included, I think, in the regular link, the link to the lab and case study team assignment. So we have a tab for lab 4. So for today in class, I think you can, well, if your partner is in class as well, maybe you can sit together and work on it. But otherwise, I think might be a good idea to actually try to independently work on this a little bit first, because this is new to many of you. But I think it will also be pretty fun working with JAX, because as you can see that JAX can be really powerful fitting different kinds of models. And in this case, you can use all kinds of priors that you think are reasonable, and JAX will do the MCMP estimation for you. Okay, so I'm gonna pause here. Feel free to ask questions, remote students as well. You can speak up whenever. I will pause recording for now, but if any common question being asked, I will try to make it into the video as well.